So here's a video on everything you need to know about diesel and battery APU units. In today's long video, we're going to be talking about, are these APU units even worth purchasing? We're actually going to go into my stats and my analytics and show you the difference between the idling of a truck that has a diesel APU unit, a truck that has a battery APU unit, and a truck that has absolutely no APU unit. And we will be comparing all three. We're also going to talk about how much can you save money-wise with having one of these APU units. And at the end of this video, we're going to conclude all the information that we got, and we're going to decide together if these units are actually worth it or not. So what in the world is an APU unit? Well, it's an auxiliary power unit. There's a diesel APU unit and there's a battery pack APU unit. So first we'll talk about the diesel APU units. Okay, so what it is, it's an APU, an auxiliary power unit that's attached to your truck. The point of the unit is to help your truck, or to make sure that your truck is not idling, while giving the driver the comfort with AC or heat in the back of the cabin. Okay, so obviously in the winter time or in the summertime, you know, the driver cannot just have his truck off. Either he's going to boil in that truck or he's going to be freezing cold in that truck. So what it does, an auxiliary power unit, whether it's battery or diesel, it will heat and or cool your truck while that engine is off. Now it also heats up your engine block so it won't have a problem starting. The cost of idling a truck is equivalent to approximately 1 gallon for every hour. As a national average, it costs $4.50 per hour to idle your truck. Now, a long haul truck driver, as we all know, you're allowed to be on duty for 14 hours, and then 10 hours you are shut down in sleeper berth. So those 10 hours are equivalent to $45 per night. Now, the driver only drives for 11 hours, and then he's got 3 hours that he can do other things and another 10 hours that he needs to shut down. So that's 13 hours of that truck being on when it could actually be off. Now let's look at some stats of my own fleet with drivers with an APU unit versus drivers without an APU unit, and we're gonna compare them. All right, so here is your comparison. So I've taken 2 trucks in our fleet. One of them is unit number 710 that has a diesel APU unit, and one of them is unit number 341. Now the reason that I chose these 2 trucks is because these 2 trucks drove identical mileage. They drove 10,900 miles approximately. And one of them has a fuel consumption of 8.7 miles per gallon, and the second one has 6.4 miles per gallon. Now you can see one of them does have a diesel APU unit and the other one does not have any APU unit, okay? So one of the units only idled 3 hours and 55 minutes for the entire month of September, September 1st to September 30th. While the second truck idled for the same amount of mileage, idled 189 hours. Now let's equate that into money. So 189 hours, multiply that by $4.50 per gallon is $850. Now if we take the 3 hours and 55 minutes, 3.55, multiply that by 450, we're talking about $16, okay, in idling time. Now one has the fuel consumption at 8.7 miles per gallon, you can see it over here, and the other one has a fuel consumption of 6.4 miles per gallon. So the question that we're trying to get to, is it worth purchasing one of these beautiful APU units? So for those that are interested in getting one of these APU units, or maybe inquiring a little bit more about them, their features, what they can do and what they can't do, I've created a form below, and this form is going to go directly to HP 2000. Let them get in touch with you to give you the answers that you need on their diesel APU units. Now let's look at the cost behind financing one of these APU units, okay? So if I told you the difference between an owner-operator who has an APU unit and an owner-operator who does not have an APU unit is at the bare minimum about $1,000. Now we haven't even touched the surface about engine hours and what happens after 3-4 years when one truck has 4,000 hours engine hours and the other truck has 6,000 engine hours. I won't even get there. I'm just talking about the savings in fuel. That's $4.50 per hour for every hour that your truck idles versus having one of these APU units, and obviously the cost associated with one of these APU units. Well, my friends over at HP 2000, okay, I really like their product, I really like their unit. I just want you all to know that we here at ET Transport, every single truck that we get has an APU unit, either a diesel APU unit or a battery pack APU unit. How do we distinguish the difference? Some trucks are designated for long haul, where the driver stays for 2 weeks at a time in the truck and then comes home. And then other drivers, they usually reset at home. So the drivers that reset at home, usually we put on the battery pack APU units. And the drivers that are a long period of time on the road, those are the ones that get the diesel APU unit. So the battery pack APU units, how they work is basically your truck turns off, okay? There's a different set of batteries. Those batteries work for about 8 hours, and then your truck goes back on. As those batteries start to drain, the truck usually starts turning on after 6 hours, after 5 hours of idling, after 4 hours. Once you are at 4 hours, that's when it's an indication that you need to change those batteries. Usually the drivers that are on the road for longer periods of time, they get the diesel APU units. All right, so just from the side of the cost savings of $850 a month, okay, if you take $850 a month, multiply that by the longevity of the truck, let's say the longevity of the truck is 60 months, that is $51,000 that literally went out the chimney. The cost associated with one of these APU units are about $13,000. I know that my friends over at HP 2000, they have these units at $12,950, and even better is that they have interest-free for a full year. So literally you could be getting one of these things for $12,950. $12,950 divided by 12, that's $1,079 per month interest-free for the first year. Now, we just said together that we save $850, multiply that by the longevity of the truck, which is 60 months. So why HP 2000? Okay, HP 2000, what I loved about them is how responsive they were, how fast they get that truck in and out of their facility. Literally, you can go there in the morning, and by after lunchtime, you're gonna be done with your truck with an APU unit. Now, they're also integrated with the finance companies, where it's a one-stop shop. You just go, you get the application, you fill out the application, literally within 20 minutes you can get approved for 0% interest financing on one of these babies, and you can start saving $850 every single month, plus the cost associated with maintenance on your trucks. I want you to know that the trucks with an APU unit, even a battery or a diesel APU unit, this retail value of that truck sells for higher than a truck without an APU unit. Now, a lot of people debate, Ronen, I have a 3-year-old truck or I have a 4-year-old truck, is it worth it? Well, you know what, if you're going to use that truck for more than 1 year, okay, even if you're gonna spend, let's say $13,000 you're gonna spend, and you're gonna save over the next year, you're gonna save about $10,000. And if you drive it for 18 months, you already made money on your machine. Now, if you sell your truck in 2 years, and if you sold your truck for about $4,000 or $5,000 more expensive because you have an APU unit, well, now you made a lot of money. Okay, especially when, you know, it's a no-brainer when people are giving you an interest-free loan for 1 year. It's absolutely a no-brainer. Now, some other people will tell me, oh, Ronen, you know, it's weight, my gross weight is going to be higher. Whenever you have a battery or a diesel APU unit, you actually have an exemption and you're allowed to be 400 pounds overweight. Okay, so you get a certificate whenever you install one of these things, and you're allowed to be 400 pounds overweight. And if you'd like more information, or if you want to get tapped into this interest-free loan, I have created a form. Okay, and this form, it takes you maybe 15 or 20 seconds to fill out. It's going to go directly to HP 2000. They do have, you know, an install center in Illinois. I know that people are in and out of there within 1 day. So take advantage of this program and give yourself that competitive advantage. So conclusion, are diesel APU units worth it? In my opinion, absolutely. Everything that we've done today is formulas based on $4.50 per gallon. I know that tomorrow, or if you're in the East Coast or if you're in the West Coast, you're paying a lot more than that. You're paying about $5, $5.50. Some people over close to $6. If something happens now in the world again, then guess what? Those fuel prices are going out to $5.50 and $6 per gallon. Now, the higher the fuel goes up, the more value these things carry. At $12,950, it's a no-brainer that you should be installing it even on a 2, 3, or 4-year-old truck. That's just my personal opinion. If you have any questions, put them down below. I would love to do a follow-up video about this and about some of your comments out there, your concerns maybe, or some of the questions that you have about diesel and APU units. Now, there's a reason why mega fleets or even medium-sized fleets and small fleets, our fleet over here, you know, over 100 power units, every single truck that comes off the line or into our possession, there is either a battery APU unit, or a diesel APU unit. Which one do I recommend? Honestly, the idling times are a lot lower with diesel APU units. Well, hopefully you learned something from this video. I'm Ronen, R-O-N-E-N, and I'll catch you in my next video.